Welcome back to News Talk. Dr. Stephen Cusin, patient advocate, is here, and we're talking today about Alzheimer's. Apparently a very, very big conference that just wrapped up not too long ago.
The international conference just ended last week. It's a great place to gather what's new, what's not new, and mainly it's a big press release factory. So a lot of stories came out this week, a lot of them on TV, a lot of them on your national report. The place is full of drug companies looking for profit, professors looking for tenure, and press looking for stories. Some of the stories are dry as dust, and they weren't reported. And some are fantastic and were over-reported and scary. The first one, if I may, is there's a condition called mild cognitive disorder, where people begin to slip. Many, but not all of them, turn out to later have Alzheimer's. The press release is, you can pass every test for Alzheimer's that doctors can give patients, but if you're scared about having Alzheimer's, the press release says you're 30% more likely to get it, just because you're scared. And it's called subjective cognitive disorder. Very offensive, because what's it going to make people do? Get scared. And the more scared they are, the more worried they are.
The more things are going to slip.
The more things they fear are going to slip, and maybe if fear causes Alzheimer's, they've given them Alzheimer's a big kick in the pants there. Bad stuff. You know, people who fear suffering will end up suffering from what they fear. The other story was, people look forward to their retirement. They should. 65 years is the retirement age. It may change in time. But the warning was, you retire at 65, your chances are 20% more likely of getting Alzheimer's, because mental stimulation and intellectual stimulation are felt to decline, or maybe lifestyle changes. Very offensive. No really great proof for it. And they come out with like the 10 warning signs for Alzheimer's. I would tell you that today I've had 3 of them before getting here today. Their warning signs should be ignored because they're too general. I mean, I have a bad 3-dimensional sense.
But that doesn't necessarily mean you have Alzheimer's.
On a 4-day weekend, I don't know whether it's a Thursday or a Friday, sometimes on our July 4th weekend. And problems with challenging situations, well, that's what makes a situation problematic, is it's a challenge. And, you know, so people should not go online. That was the press release. Online Alzheimer's testing are all inaccurate.
So I think there's probably a lot of people, you know, who hear that and say, all right, you know, I don't want to get overhyped and over scared, you know, but when they hear, I'm sure there's people out there who hear, well, he just told me, you know, ignore the warning sign. So what's the alternative? I mean, let's say, you know, is there a way to not make yourself overhyped and over-frightened, you know, when you sense something going on? What are the ways to detect it if these kind of really pushed warning signs are not necessarily indicative of
Those are things that actually interfere with activities of daily living. The most telling thing would be perhaps to find yourself in a car in a familiar area, what's typically familiar, and you find yourself, where am I? Those kind of things that actually make you less functional in life, things that get you in trouble at work. More likely, the people who know you the best are the ones who usually recognize these things first. And it's not a bad idea to have discussions with people you love and with whom you trust. It's a very sad thing when it's overdiagnosed. The other thing about the meeting is there's nothing on the horizon that's going to prevent it or treat it. And there's nothing currently on the market that's anything better than either useless totally, or marginally helpful. But the good news is, and it doesn't come out, is another article having nothing to do with the meeting. They say, for press release purposes and for individual agendas in an industry, it's an industry, Alzheimer's disease, the incidence is falling, 20 or 30%. It's not doubling by the time of 2050. It's not like everyone over 70 is going to be on medication. It's actually dropping. That's the good news. Why? Because 50% of Alzheimer's is, in fact, preventable. But it's not easy. It's losing weight, being physically very active, stopping smoking, doing mentally challenging things. You don't have to be working to be mentally challenged and intellectually challenged. And controlling chronic diseases or preventing them, hypertension and diabetes particularly.
And it's funny because as you and I are talking here, I feel like, and it happens a lot of times when you and I have these discussions, it all goes back to that nature of the industry. Because the more people who can be diagnosed with this, the more pharmaceuticals that can be sold, and thus the business can kind of continue.
Listen, let the drug companies make huge profits. This is something the drug companies really want to get, because it's not like an antibiotic. We're going to be only on it for a week or two. When this medicine comes out, millions are going to be on it for the rest of their lives. That means huge profits, deserved profits for a terrible disease. Alzheimer's disease is the second most feared disease in this country. I don't get it. To me, it's the most feared. I would sooner get heart disease or cancer than Alzheimer's, simply because at least I'd be there for the fight. And not being there for the fight strikes me as one of the most tragic things about Alzheimer's and being dependent. But either way, Alzheimer's strikes a real chord with people who suffer it and people who are afraid of it and families who have to deal with it. My mom had it, and I know what it's like. And because my mom had it, perhaps I worry a little bit more about it. But the fact is, my mom was elderly when she had it, and the genetics of Alzheimer's is such that I'm at not particular increased risk, unless, of course, I forget your name by the end of the interview. Dave. Dave, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So healthy lifestyle, like many other things, healthy lifestyle, eating
Yes.
better, exercising is the way to go in terms of preventing that, and I'm sure many other things as well.
Those are the things that people should do, because those are the things that work, and that's about the only thing that works.
All right, Dr. Stephen Houston, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.